Tory Smith, you know what? Welcome to Living on Music, my friend.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm really happy you're here for a couple of reasons, and one is again your kind of devotion and your real focus on what you're doing now, which has been kind of an interesting part of the music part of your life. Right now, it is what people see behind me. Go from feeling distracted to performing with confidence. It is what Tory is involved with, which is Black Box Prompter, and it is a unbelievable piece that I personally, as we just talked about pre-show a little bit, Tori and I, am so interested in looking at and feeling of what this is like to be on stage, being a lead singer for the last, again, 19 years. Tori, welcome to the show. Tell me a little bit about how this led up to beginning Black Box Prompter.
Yeah, well, first of all, Steve, thanks again. Thanks for having me. This is really a treat for me to be on your show.
Thanks.
Yeah, okay, so let me backtrack. So about 5 years ago, I've been in a number of cover bands through the years. I play a little guitar,
Great.
and my brother's got this phenomenal voice, and he's a shy guy, so I kind of help him, get in some of these venues and whatnot. So I do the sales and marketing.
Right.
And so about 5 years ago, we decided to start our own '80s band. We're in the Dallas area, and there weren't too many of them.
Right.
But we do like top 40 '80s, type stuff. Prince, Billy Idol,
Right.
Journey, all the bangers, from the '80s. And we dress up. We have a flux capacitor on stage. We have a big lit up Rubik's cube. I mean, we look the part, and we just have so much fun with it.
Sure.
But when we started, my brother took his job very, very seriously. He's the singer, and he didn't want to be that guy with the music stand or the iPad
Right.
blocking the view, the audience's view of him. He didn't want that to be in the way.
Right.
And so he's like, well, what's on the market? So he started looking around and he found these teleprompters that were kind of big and clunky and heavy and
Right.
expensive. And he's just, there's got to be a better way. And so what he did, he was pretty crafty. He went into his garage, true
Yeah, you called
story.
it a poor man's teleprompter out
And
of an
yes,
Amazon shipping
yes.
box.
Yes, he literally got a shipping box and cut out part of it to make this kind of window, if you will. Wrapped it up
Wow.
in black duct tape. Okay, so again, it's I guess it's a black box at that
Right.
point. Play on words there.
Right.
No, it's a true black box. But anyway, he set his iPad in at an angle, right? And he had his little Bluetooth air turn page turn pedals, and that became his poor man's teleprompter, because he uses a program called OnSong, which is a real I love those guys. We actually integrate with them. Talk about that later.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
but
you do.
uh, but they have scrolling lyrics, and they've been around really since the iPad came about. And anyway, so he's used that for several years, as his and it worked great. It got the job done. He doesn't have it blocking his view. But
Right.
a little over a year ago, he was still using this, and I showed a friend of a friend of mine who was a drummer. I showed him this contraption that he
Yes.
made, and I said, "Man," I said, "there's got to be a better way." And I didn't realize that this guy was like a brilliant software engineer
Oh,
and like ranked like in the top, like the elite. And
sure.
so earlier that week, he had tripped on a prompter that had been on the market for 10, 15 years. It was kind of big and clunky, and he tripped on it, and he was not happy with that design. I won't name any names. He just wasn't happy with it.
Right.
So the very next day, Steve, he was in his garage prototyping, cutting out wood, doing sketches, and then he started coding. And then 2 months after that, well, we had started a business together, and 2 months after that, we made our debut at the Dallas Guitar Festival.
Right. I love
Uh,
that. That's video I think I just watched.
yeah, and it was a
That's
hit. I
great.
mean, it validated, like, oh my God, people got it, just like yourself. They got it, they understood. And then we ended up building what became the world's first smart teleprompter. And we
Oh,
can talk about what smart means here in a minute, but yeah, that's kind of how I got the inspiration. It really came out of necessity
right.
and lots of observation. So when I'm not performing on stage, my wife and I we go watch live music around town,
Right.
and more often than not, guess what we see? We see
Yes.
that iPad in the face or the music stand in the face, and it's just not a good look. It's just not a
No.
good look. And I want to preface this by saying, guys, there's no shame in using a teleprompter. Most of your pros filling out arenas use a teleprompter of some sort. Whether you're
Right.
Steven, Tyler, James Hetfield, who do we talk about earlier? Bruce Springsteen.
Sure.
Yes, and
Bono
especially
and you too.
you
I
name
think.
it, you name
Yeah.
it. I mean, you think of their catalog, right? How extensive is their library of songs? And they're not, they're killing brain cells off by the droves, probably at a faster rate than you and I are.
Right.
It's so yeah. So it's again, no shame in teleprompters, but where there is shame is if you have it right up in your face, eye
It is.
level or
Right.
chest level, and it's hindering the view of the audience. And to lean on that as the standard, that's just yeah. So anyway, so we're on a mission to change that. We're on a mission to get rid of that music stand with
Yep.
your sheets or your tablet or whatever it is. Get it out of your face, get it onto the floor, and use it when you need it. Don't be glued to it, but an occasional glance is totally acceptable.
Well, right. And as we talked a little bit about pre-show too, I've been singing 19 years, lead singer. In everything I've done. I've only started singing, co-singing with a couple of ladies in bands, which is a blast, and they're fabulous. And we split the songs. I don't have to do 45 live songs in a gig. And you know
Nice.
the whole story, but I'm still churning along. Yet I showed you this. Okay, so here's me singing, and this is what I've used. And I've tried to never have it high. I've always had it low. And I've always wondered, here's another gig with it in there. And see, it's
Yeah.
low. It's never high, but it blocks part of
It's
me.
still, yeah, it's still there. Yeah, yeah.
So it is so fascinating to be able to talk to somebody who has really come up with this amazing thing. What will it do better for somebody like me? Again, I'm not a singer in any band that's going to tour the world, but we play all the time and I'm singing all the time, and I'm thinking this might be an incredibly exciting thing to have in my repertoire.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I'll try not to feature preach, as I like to say, push too many. But I'll give you kind of the cliff
Please.
notes, some of the highlights. What's different about this, and then well, first of all, I want to start off by saying a lot of us musicians, it's in our blood. We love music, but we're not necessarily super techie,
Right.
right? We're not.
Right.
A lot of us didn't grow up with a lot of technology.
Right.
And especially those of us in our 50s and 60s, as our vision is worsening, our
Right.
memories not where it used to be, etc.
Yep.
And so we came up with this idea of okay, let's make it really really simple. Okay, so first off, I'll step back by saying if you were to migrate from your binder of sheet music sitting on a music stand, if we were
Yes.
to upgrade that to say an iPad, okay, well it's still the same problem. It's still kind of blocking the view of the audience,
Right.
and there's no way in hell you'll be able to see that iPad, the lyrics from the floor, even at an
Right.
angle.
Right.
You'd really have to zoom in.
Sure.
I know that's what my brother has even struggled with, by using the iPad. However, the biggest iPad is, I think the iPad Pro is around 13 inches diagonally.
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, I want to say ours is the surface area. Ours is nearly three times the size of your biggest iPad. Okay.
Perfect.
So now you have something three times the size. So now you can put it in the floor. It's at an angle. Beyond that, we have 11 font sizes. So you can
Oh,
find your sweet spot. You can increase your font size to really jumbo. Now you got to be careful not to overdo it because fewer words you can fit on the screen. But you can kind of figure out. We use t-shirt sizes from extra small all the way up to 7XL. That's how we. Again, we try to super simplify it, right?
sure.
Make it super super simple. People can relate to t-shirt sizes. Well, I want triple XL, for my font size. Well, great, boom, you got it.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and true story. I talked to a customer a couple months ago. He was a gigging musician such as yourself, and he had that iPad because he had a vision. He had a detached retina, and the last gig, he was almost in tears because he said he thought he'd have to hang it up. He thought his days were over, and he came across our prompter and said, "Hey, will I be able to see it? My vision has gone from bad to worse. I've got this detached retina." And
Oh,
I said, why don't we give it a shot? I said, we have a 30-day no questions asked return. If it doesn't work out, you can send it back. But let's give it a shot and see.
sure.
And so we sent him the box, and he called me back and he said, "Oh my gosh, I don't have to stop gigging. I can continue on. This is a godsend." He was
Oh,
so relieved. He
wow.
was so relieved. And so Again, any of us with vision issues, this could be a game changer to keep you going. Don't let your vision be the thing that stops you from gigging,
No,
right?
it seems like this, again, as you're talking, Tori, my mind is just going wild because of all the times I've spent on a stage using those lyrics. And I try to perform. And that's one thing that I've gotten some really nice feedback from in the last 19 years is I do a little bit of Mick Jaggerish feels. I've got a little bit
Cool.
of performing. Again, my mom was an actress, so maybe trying to make up for it while I'm my 50s and 60s. But
Yeah.
I don't try to ever stare down at that thing, but it is pieces of paper. And I also thought that a tablet, an iPad would be too small for me.
Mm.
This sounds magnificently ideal for somebody, especially like me, who wants to continue to perform, not read what I'm doing. I try to
Hmm.
memorize most of my lyrics.
Sure.
There
Yeah,
are
yeah.
also some people you play with in bands and stuff. Maybe I sit in and sub or something.
Yeah.
There's some people who don't love anybody to be reading their lyrics at
Correct.
all.
Yeah, do your
This
homework.
this
Well,
would
yeah,
seem to
yeah.
be accepted though. You know what I'm saying?
As long as it's an occasional glance to get that visual cue, not to be
Yeah,
glued. I always use that analogy. Glance, not to be glued. Yeah,
totally.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is
And so,
fabulous.
and as long as you're avoiding the three sins, you know what the three deadly sins are? Is
Yes.
swiping, squinting, and scrolling.
Yes.
Those are what we call the three deadly sins of performing. You don't want to be caught doing that as a performer because
Right.
especially if you're the front man, it's all about showmanship, right? I mean, yes, you want to sound good, but you also, if you're that lead singer, you want to really deliver that performance with full confidence. And so I do want to go back and I was talking about some of the cool things that kind of separated. So
Sure.
going back, so it's like, okay, well, what's different about this one? Why now? What makes it unique? And I want to at least touch on a few things that I think are really, really key that
Sure.
your listeners might appreciate.
Please.
Um, so so right now, the ones that have been on the market for the past 10 plus years, they'll kind of on the surface, they'll kind of look similar to this, right? But they're pretty basic. They will show JPEG files, like image files or PowerPoint slides. And that's about it. And a lot of times you have to go offline, get your song just right, move the chord over just right, and then reload it every time.
Right.
And it's just kind of a cumbersome experience. With the black box prompter, what makes it nice is you have you have tech built inside of this, right? So when you add your song, it could be in text format, Word format, PDF format.
Right.
Um, if you need to make a change to the song, you don't have to get your thumb drive out every time and take it offline. We actually give you a keyboard. We include a keyboard with a trackpad and you can edit the songs directly on the box if you had to.
Wow.
So that makes it easier, so you don't have to go back and forth. There's
Fabulous.
there's some other logic I can kind of geek out. Like there's some color, like let's say you're a singer and you've had maybe one too many to drink, and it's like, oh, how does the bridge go? Or when's the bridge coming up? We can color code the bridge. So when you see a certain color, boom, oh, bridge is coming up. When you see blue, the chorus is coming up. And
Right.
it does that automatically. It actually reads the text. If you see chorus in brackets, it's going to automatically highlight that in blue.
People
You know, it's,
swept up to our stage when I started this band years ago with tequila, and as a lead singer, I was excited. It was celebratory. I was appreciative. And boy, it does not work to drink too much when you're singing.
oh yeah.
That's what the
Well,
great, the great singers like Mick and Springsteen, all these guys have kind of reduced some of that part of it. But I totally understand what you're talking about because you really want to be able to see different things and be able to read different things. Those three pedals you'll talk about too, because that's really amazing.
yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah. So it includes a 3 foot pedal. In fact, we're about to launch a new version that looks like a guitar stomp box. Because the one we have right now, it's really good, but it's a little sensitive. And so I had one of our customers. He's like, "Oh, I wear boots, and sometimes I accidentally double click it when I don't mean to." And so we're actually about to launch it's 12 inches long. Picture this, a 12-inch long, 14 gauge steel. I mean, this sucker's heavy. And you know how a guitar stop box pedal works? Stop
Yes.
switch. So
Yes.
imagine three of those push buttons, right? Spread out, spread out. And that's going to be your page turner. And we're building that ourselves. That's not anything we're importing. We have a metal shop guy that works next to our warehouse, and we're working a deal with him. And we're
Right.
building these things from scratch. to where that's super, super heavy duty.
And I think that's as a lead singer looking at that thing, and I'm gonna have to change the I'm gonna have to move it up. And that was always something that was in back of my head when I'm thinking, well, if I ever do one of these things like this, that is something that I guess it would be something that is prompted easily and well for us to be able to know where you're doing and what you're doing, even when you're in rhythm with a song, you still be able
Sure.
to,
Yeah,
right?
accurately, exactly. Accurately advance the page, or you need to go back a page, or you need to skip a song. We make it, I mean, it's almost like a three-button mouse. You make it super, super easy to use to get what you need to get to. Okay. And so that's that again, we're trying to simplify it so there's not a huge learning curve. What else is really cool that you won't find anywhere else? Because we just got back from NAMM a few weeks ago and we had debuted some things. Oh, we have a new thing called Sing Along. Now Sing Along is pretty cool. This you won't find this anywhere else. Let's say you have bands, you have your audience is kind of mumbling the words, but they don't quite remember how the chorus goes. You can actually set it up to where you can print out a QR code, which is tied to your box. You show it to your
Oh,
audience. Your audience scans the QR code with their phone, and guess what they see?
really?
In real time, in real near real time, they see the lyrics
Oh,
of your
that's
song. The
that's
same lyrics,
great.
the same lyrics you see as the singer, they will see on their phone.
That's wonderful. We
And
have
when you
people
go to the
singing
new
along
song,
all. Oh,
yeah, exactly when you go to the next song, it'll refresh, and the next song will appear. And there's no app to install. It's
very
just
cool.
it's now they have to have internet connection, obviously, but most places, unless you're playing way out in the boonies, most places will have internet these days, or at least your normal your 5G LTE towers or whatever.
And where does the
Um,
QR code come out?
so
Come on?
so yeah, basically you would print that ahead of time, we've got videos and all this that walk you through it. But you'd print it out. You could put it in your little plexiglass thing, right? Or put it on a poster, put it wherever, right? And it says, "Hey, you want the words? Scan this QR code." And they scan it and boom, and they appear. So that's a really cool feature that nobody's doing.
Wow.
Um,
Yes.
now, while I'm on the subject, this summer we're gonna release our AI model. What does that mean? Well,
Oh, oh.
with AI, I told you my business partner was super 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 brilliant, brilliant software engineer. He's been building AIs from scratch since it was a thing. I just kind of lucked into finding him. You talk about lightning in a bottle. Um, and he's already built it. He built this AI for a different industry. It was the car dealership industry. I won't go into detail, but he's going to be able to repurpose it for the music industry. So imagine this, Steve. Imagine you talk to your phone and you say, "Hey, black box, pull up the words to Sweet Caroline," and then boom, they just appear. Pull up the
Oh.
chords. No, what? No, not in B. No, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it in A. Pull it in a key of A. Boom, and it transposes it for you. Um, you'll be able to talk to your box through your phone, and it'll fetch whatever you need from a lyric standpoint or a chord standpoint, and it just appears like that.
Oh.
Nobody's doing that right now. We're going to be the first to actually do that, and so
Oh,
um,
wow.
that's a big effing deal because I'm going to tell you a true story. A few months ago, I was in Nashville doing some market research, right? And I'd go up and down Lower Broadway into the clubs, and
Yes.
every
Unbelievable
single
walk. Wow.
um, and of course this is in my blood, so I'm loving it. I didn't want to once I got into one club, I didn't want to leave, but I had to, but every single one of them, what did they have in common? Every single one of them, they all took requests, right?
Right.
And they all had an iPhone in their face. And people during break would say, "Hey," they make a request, and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, 1 second, I'm familiar with it, but I need to pull it up, and let me get the right key. Give me just a second." And the rest of the band's just waiting, and it would kind of kill the momentum, right? It'd kill the vibe for
Right.
2 or 3 minutes while they go find this song, and
Oh,
I saw it time and time again. Well, this is going to fix all that, right? So if we could put black boxes in all of these venues as a
yes.
permanent, they're already outfitting the stage with their speakers and their mic stands and everything else, their monitors. Why don't we put this as a permanent fixture on the stage, preloaded with a shit ton of, the most popular songs ever played,
Right.
and then you're off to the races,
Sure. Do you
Now there is
find
some licensing thing. I was gonna say there's some licensing things that they'd have to work out, which are supposed to work out anyway. There's
right?
BMI and ASCAP and all those. But as long as those licenses are covered, then they should be covered under that
Sure.
law. Yeah.
Do you find a competitive marketplace with this item in your business right now?
We have two competitors that are in the ballpark, but again, I wouldn't call them smart teleprompters. I have yet to, other than the iPad itself, right? I
Right.
have yet to really find a quote unquote smart teleprompter that does half of what this thing
Right.
does. This is going to be a game changer. We're about a year old and we're just getting warmed up, and
Oh, I love it. And I can't
so yeah,
imagine that this won't take off because people, I don't know, anybody who's in bands, whether it is again, hardworking cover bands that are, my level or then way up here that tour around the United States that do bands like this, or regular bands, regular rock and
yeah.
roll bands, regular, professional bands that are out there could use this kind of thing. It sounds wonderful that you're doing this. This hasn't just been your only work. You've been a busy man. Right? You were an owner of a lights company back starting what around 2006?
Yeah. You've done your homework. Yeah, no, I built one of the first lead generation companies for
Nice.
the holiday lighting industry. I was basically matching people wanting Christmas lights with installers. Maybe it was a landscaper that was slow in the wintertime. Be
Right.
able to match them and marry them up to folks needing Christmas light. Now, Christmas light business is huge down here in Texas. I mean, it is all across the country, but especially in the Dallas area, everybody keeping up
Right.
with the Joneses.
Sure.
So I started that, gosh, I guess 18 years ago. And then, I've been doing marketing stuff,
Yeah.
for 20 plus years. I ran my own agency for 10 years. And so,
Sure.
but this is really my kind of my first attempt to embark on the music industry. And I'm able to take, my love for music and being around really talented musicians and then just trying to find a gap in the market. It's like, what can we do to make their jobs easier?
Yes.
And better and give them more confidence. Like I talked to speaking of original rock bands, I talked to a original rock band out of Canada. They were pretty popular in Canada in the late '90s. They're all in their mid '50s now, and the gentleman had me on his podcast, and he's saying, yeah, we're gonna be doing these fly-in shows all throughout Canada and stuff. My lead singer though, he's like, he's having some memory issues, as he's getting older. And so
Oh,
yeah, same thing here. I mean, so even if it's an original band, whether you're doing some of these reunion type shows or maybe your original band and you have new material,
right.
right? And your catalog, maybe you don't have it fully committed to memory, or maybe you do, but you want your audience to learn your material. So you do the sing along, the QR code sing along thing we mentioned earlier. So I
Right.
mean, there's all kinds of cool little use cases that we can think about.
Well, and again, music for you began early in Tory's life.
Well,
Texas.
actually, no. 80s music was really my go-to. I'm an 80s
Yeah.
kid. The country music came later in life.
Oh, it did.
It's a funny story. I was the youngest of three boys. My older brothers were always listening to 80s music, and that's why we ended up, doing this 80s band together. But it was about 2 years ago. We were goofing around in sound check, and we did a country song. And my sound guy pulled me aside. He said, "Dude, I'm not a country guy, but oh my God, y'all need to start a country band."
Oh,
And I was like, I don't know a whole lot of country. Even though I'm in Dallas, I was a rocker. I
oh,
didn't listen to country. But we were doing like Tennessee whiskey and Fast as You, and he just knocked it out of the park. And I said, okay, well, and my sound guy like tunes pianos for a living, and so I was like,
right.
I trusted his ear, and I was like, well, okay. So a month later, we launched a '90s country band in Dallas, Texas,
Nice.
and it's ridiculously taken off. It's like we're doing
Oh.
galas and city festivals and you name it. It's weddings. Yeah, it's been keeping us really busy.
Oh, I love that. The band I'm in with the Rainmakers, we're doing a big gig in the summer, and it's at this huge thing on the water down in Virginia, about 1,000 people, and one part of it is line dancing with country music, and so we're learning
Nice.
8 new country musics. I'm doing Watermelon Crawl.
Oh
It's going to
yeah.
be yeah. We're learning. I'm actually get to do, of course, one of my favorite artists of all time, Steve Earle. I do Copperhead Road that while they're doing this, and I'm like.
Yeah.
But this is so exciting to even just picture in my own little cover band life, let alone you sharing this with hopefully with the musical world and saying, look what you can use. You must feel good though going into this right now, Tori.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you start something like this, it's a new endeavor and it's a lot of risk, right? Because you do we're not drawing a paycheck yet because we're so new at this, right? We're bootstrapping it. I may have a little bit investment, a little bit outside investment, but not much.
Right, right.
And so we are taking a risk, but no risk, no gain. Go big or go home. And so the thing is, I'm seeing so many use cases for it, not just in the cover band scene, right?
Good.
I've talked to folks that are in church, right? And every Sunday, a lot of your churches they have live music, and
Perfect.
so and a lot of them aren't professional musicians, so they need a crutch, right? And so I think houses of worship are going to be a huge market for us. I think
Oh, that's
audio
great.
visual integrators, people going on the road, having this, in their arsenal, right, for their artists to take advantage of. I think AV
Yes.
integrators and sound production companies are going to be huge. Even presenters giving speeches,
Right.
right? You don't have to be a musician. You don't want to have to hire a tech to click the remote to advance your slides. You want the lectern out of your face, right? But you want this down below, and you can be in control on when to turn the page. All you need are
Yes.
bullet points. So
Totally.
it works for presenters just as well, because it's just showing text files at the end of the day. So yeah, so lots of really cool use cases for something like this to really empower whether you're the front man, whether you're giving a speech, whether you're the pastor or preacher and you need sermon notes, whatever the case may be, you need some sort of visual cue. This could be a good solution for you, and make it very, very covert and discreet, where the audience has
Yes.
no idea that you're leaning on a teleprompter. You know what? From their viewpoint, it looks like a speaker wedge.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it, to be able to push away anything that looks like that is in front of you to read, even though again, you want to be able to not read the black box prompter either. You want to use it as your guide, but you don't want to have the guide here and right here. And it,
that's
it just
exactly
sounds
right.
like it's got an epic function too. I'm really happy for you in this, Tori, to be able to jump into what you've been looking at, in bands and in things that you've been doing in music, and now saying, "Hey, look what this is going to do." How do people best, get to Black Box Prompter right now?
Yeah, the best place to go is go to the website. We're running deals all the time. You're going to find the best pricing there. So website is blackboxprompter.com.
Yep.
And if you use the promo code Steve10, STEVE10, you can get 10% off your purchase. And if you're in the US, we even take care of the shipping for you. If you're in the continental 48 states of the United States, you don't have to pay for shipping. So yeah, now we're on Amazon and Reverb and all, and eBay, but I would totally recommend, if you're interested in trying one out, yeah, go to the website, blackboxprompter.com.
Yeah, that is something that I'm going to have to really keep in touch with you on, because I'm so excited for how things are going with my singing. And to be able to add this to it is just it's getting me like just pumped up. So let's keep in close touch. But congratulations on really coming up with this, and I wish you the very best of luck, and with Black Box Prompter and everything else like that.
Awesome, Steve. Well, thanks again so much for having me on your show, man. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, thanks for being on Living on Music, and let's keep in touch. And it is wonderful to learn all about this.